All right, we're back here on Live Impact News, continuing with our coverage of this morning's decision by the judge to throw out all 8 counts charged to Dr. Ebony Parker in the Richneck Elementary School criminal trial. Now, we are making sure that we have this fully covered. We have been over it now for about 2 hours here, just shy of 2 hours. So there have been a lot of different elements that we have looked into. We are going to have Brianna Fallon live with us here once again. Brianna was in the courtroom as everything broke down, as everything was decided, and then she made her way to just outside of the courtroom as lawyers and family and Dr. Ebony Parker were each exiting and making their way to their cars. She was able to talk to some of the lawyers. Some did not want to give statements. The prosecution in particular did not have any statements. He made his way off the premises rather quickly. Defense attorneys stayed for just a little bit longer and gave very, very brief statements, and then she was able to talk to Ebony Parker in the courthouse, though Ebony Parker did not stick around to speak to reporters outside. So we were able to get at least an update from Dr. Ebony Parker about her state of mind. However, she did not talk on record at any point. Again, this is tied to the January 6, 2023 school shooting that injured teacher Abby Zwerner. Abby Zwerner was shot by one of her own students, a 6-year-old in her class. There was a civil trial that ended up awarding Abby Zwerner $10 million, and now today a criminal trial that has been officially thrown out. There is another civil trial still to come, as a group of parents of other children in that school have brought a civil trial, and we have heard a lot throughout this trial from some of those parents about the trauma that this event inflicted on their children and the lasting effects that it has had on their children, especially in terms of struggling to sleep, struggling with nightmares, struggling being alone, things of that nature. So the human element of this story certainly continues to loom large, even as we move through so many judicial technicalities. There are a lot of legal language to work through. Obviously, the decision in this case has been described as landmark in some ways. It has been described by the judge itself as a case with no precedent, so it can be really easy to sort of be consumed by the big picture elements of this situation. But this case has also had a way of bringing us right back to the tragic and devastating human element that came as a result of January 6th, 2023. Parker had been accused of failing to act after multiple warnings that 6-year-old student had brought a firearm to school on the day of the shooting. Prosecutors allege she did not follow safety procedures and did not alert the principal or initiate a search of the student himself. But the decision brings an end to that case, which included testimony from not just parents, but school staff, Newport News City public school officials, and evidence involving some of those school safety policies and an internal investigation and the findings that came from that. We saw yesterday actually a Zoom call that had taken place prior between one of the human resources administrators investigating the case and Dr. Ebony Parker. A Zoom call in which Dr. Ebony Parker did show quite a bit of emotion while describing some of the events of that day. We saw more emotion from Dr. Parker in the courtroom as the judge read her decision aloud. Dr. Parker at one point putting her head down on the table, at another point in time sort of being comforted by her legal team as she really showcased some major emotion, which, I mean, what else could you possibly expect in a decision like this, in a case like this? During the trial, jurors heard accounts from school personnel and families describing the aftermath, testimony about reporting procedures, response protocols inside the school, a lot of discussion about what were the rules for a situation like this, what were the responsibilities for a situation like this. That played a major role in this decision. Okay, let's transition back out live to the courthouse. Brianna Fallon is here with us from Newport News. Brianna, you've been in and out with us all day. We really appreciate all your time and all of your patience, all of your reporting here. Any updates you can give us from the last time we saw you? We know things have calmed down quite a bit out there.
Things have definitely calmed down quite a bit, but again, the emotion that we were seeing earlier this morning after the judge made her decision was incredible. You know, there was just so much emotion, family of Parker's emotion. And if you actually want to take a look at your screen, you could see video that we took as Parker exited the courthouse. We did try to get a few statements from her during that time as she exited, but she did take a pretty quick pace to her car there. While she didn't say much on camera, I did speak to her outside of the actual courtroom before she walked outside this morning. She said she is very relieved with the verdict here today, with that motion to strike, and that she's just ready to move on with her life at this point. So it's not very clear what is next. We did also get to speak with defense attorneys and the prosecutors as they left the courthouse. Prosecution didn't have too much to say here. I did get the chance to ask what's next, essentially, and he kind of shut it down, saying that this is where the end of the line is for him in this case. We also did speak to defense, as I mentioned, and he mentioned how much of a relief this is for Parker, but also to his team, that the judge decided to strike down all 8 felony counts. Take a listen for yourself.
Any comments or reaction to what happened today with the dismissal of the case?
We believe that the correct outcome was reached, and we're thrilled for Dr. Parker. Thank you.
What was that moment like when the judge said this didn't constitute a crime, and then Dr. Parker started sobbing?
Right, yeah, it was just a relief for her, great relief for her, and we're just happy that we were part of her journey.
What's next for her?
I'm not sure, but thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, and what was your just initial reaction, once you realized what direction the judge was going in?
Relief, happiness.
How often do you see a motion to strike succeed?
Well, I've never been at a part of a case as big as this one, but very often in misdemeanor cases, motions to strike succeed. In misdemeanor cases.
This wasn't a misdemeanor case.
Right. So,
okay.
but in felony cases, I think it's way less right. Often. Yeah. Way less common.
Have you ever seen it before in one of your cases?
No, not on a felony. No. Yeah.
And this was 8 counts, right? I mean, that's pretty significant. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of coming to that conclusion to put that defense together to get the judge to strike this?
Well, Curtis Rogers was the lead attorney on this matter. I came in to assist him. I'm happy that I was able to help him, but this is his case, and he prepared diligently, and I'm proud of him, and I'm happy for Dr. Parker.
Judge Robinson said she had no precedent to work with. Is this a landmark case and a landmark ruling?
I believe it will be, yes. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, there were just a lot of emotions in that courtroom today. The moment that the judge made her decision and she announced it, sobs right from Parker in the courtroom. The judge's reason, it varied, but she did say that this was kind of, quote, a mashup of legal theory, noting that these charges, do they stem from the 8 counts based on the bullets or the children in the room or the emotional trauma. So there was just a lot happening, a lot of emotions. Again, the moment that Parker reconnected with her family outside of the courtroom today, they hugged, they sobbed, and again, now she just wants to move forward and put this case behind her. Connor.
Yeah, Brianna, and with you on the screen now, we are showing that video that Brianna was just describing of Ebony Parker, Dr. Ebony Parker, sort of breaking down in the courtroom, releasing that emotion as the decision was read. And I'm stuttering as I watch here, because it really is an incredible sort of sight to behold. You can imagine how much emotion was wrapped up over the course of not just this case, but the last 3+ years. Brianna also spoke about what's next. We did hear from Ed Booth a little earlier, and in regards to what's next, Ed Booth did cite that double jeopardy does apply here. When you swear witnesses and begin the trial, that's the trial, and people cannot be tried twice for the same crime. So that speaks a little bit to what Brianna was giving us there in her live report. Brianna, is there anything else that you want to update us on at this time?
No further updates, but again, I will say just the emotions here this morning were truly incredible. I mean, like you mentioned, you saw in the video the moment the judge mentioned that she was going to strike all 8 charges, and just that reaction from Parker. And again, while we did not get this on camera because it was inside the courtroom in the hallway, Parker did run out of the courtroom and she just hugged her family for just a few minutes before making that exit, Connor.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Brianna, we really appreciate all the updates today, all the work that you've done for us here this morning. You guys have been on standby for multiple hours now, so thanks for one last report, and I'm sure we'll see you again a little later on in the day.
Thanks, Connor.
All right, Brianna Fallon from Newport News there with more updates for us. Speaking with attorneys, speaking with Dr. Ebony Parker inside the courthouse, and then a witness to everything as the variety of reactions, right? The prosecuting attorney quickly making his way out of the courthouse. And then, of course, we also had the defense attorney who we got to hear speak there, Stephen Teague. We heard very, very briefly from the lead defense attorney, but it wasn't from Curtis Rogers, but it wasn't anything that we're really able to take any substance from. It was so quick before he actually made his moves out of the courtroom as well. But you heard Stephen Teague, who was assisting him in this case, speaking about how proud he is of the work that Curtis Rogers did. And then, of course, we heard from Ed Booth there, who was able to give us more insight into the technicalities of this whole thing. So